Let's talk about the film Nosferatu from Robert Eggers. This is a movie I've been anticipating the whole year, ever since Robert Eggers wanted to make this and I first heard about it. Now, he's been wanting to make this all his life. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about it in a spoiler video later this week. Stay tuned. We are talking, no spoilers, Nosferatu 2024 review. Let's talk about it because this is a movie that I think is definitely changing the game up. Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgård, you have Aaron Taylor Johnson, Willem Dafoe, amongst others in this, really delivering at 110% or more. I've watched this movie twice already, and I will tell you, I'm going to watch it a third time this week. Stay tuned for that because I cannot get enough of this movie. And I know there's been some back and forth about the performances here and there, but this is my honest review. This is the best movie of 2024 in terms of horror, and it definitely is in the top 20 as well in overall movies. So let's get into Nosferatu 2024. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you're still with me, and let's get into Succumbing to the Darkness. So this movie, like I said, Robert Eggers apparently has been wanting to make this for the past 3 decades, I guess you could say, and he's been back and forth with it. At one point, you had Anya Taylor and Harry Styles attached to this project, but of course, with a lot of things in Hollywood, they go back and forth with them. Didn't go through. Now you have Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgård as the main three. Now, this is a movie that is based on the original film that, of course, came out almost 100 years ago, which is Nosferatu, which I think is such a great film and still holds up to this day, and really is I would say, blueprint to so many horror films we see today, and just a great work of art with German Expressionism and all of that. Now, I do want to say that this movie does differ a bit from that one, and so if you're looking for something that's beat by beat, this is not it. This is really a true reimagining from Eggers, and I really do think he has his own poetic gothic vibe to it that he always has. I think Eggers really is a director that stands apart from his contemporaries when it comes to really focusing and honing in on one visual medium, I would say. He really does stick to this very gothic, cold, and very eerie vibe that he has in all of his movies, from The Witch to The Northman, and even also The Lighthouse, which is very different from those two, but at the end of the day, it's still at its core the same. And Willem Dafoe talked about how he likes how Robert Eggers approaches these period pieces, and he doesn't make them feel distant. These characters still feel real, like you could meet them today. And I think that's an important aspect when it comes to historical films that take place in different periods of time. Sometimes as a viewer or just anybody, we feel detached from them because they feel like they were 100 years ago and they don't feel that relatable. Where I think here in Nosferatu as well, you still feel the relatableness to all of these characters. Relatableness. I did not say that word right. But anyways, I really do got to commend the performances here. Lily Rose Depp, of course, you've been hearing it left and right, is truly an exceptional maverick in this movie. She is going to places that you don't really see these actresses or actors really go to, and she doesn't hold back in any aspect of it. This is a woman in this film who has almost lost everything and is on the verge of insanity, and Lily Rose Depp really portrays that in a way I have not seen in a horror film. I was thinking to myself throughout, Robert Eggers would make such a great possession film if he ever were to want to make that, and I really do think Lily Rose Depp should be first on that call list if he does want to do that, because this was just exceptional work here. Now, at the same time, you also have Nicholas Hoult, who is this heartbroken man who is trying to just bring his world together as he sees it crumbling and falling apart, and that desperation and exasperation throughout his performance is clearly seen and felt. What a tremendous performance from Hoult here, who just has been on a roll. I still have yet to see The Order, which is another film he was in this year, which I've heard some great things about, and Juror number 2. Now, when it comes to a performance that I feel is sort of being overlooked or not talked about as much, is Aaron Taylor Johnson in this. My goodness, he has a scene towards the third act that just completely broke me, really beautifully done, and just crafted in a way that you really do start to feel for this character, who for the most part you kind of saw as stuck-offish or just didn't really care for because of his attitude, but he really breaks that scene down so incredibly well. We have also Willem Dafoe, who is a character that is a very much so a force once they come into this film in a good way. The film is in some way, I would say, feeling like it was just moving smoothly smoothly, and that's not a bad thing either. But Willem Dafoe comes to like shake the bridge up and really get these characters thinking about all of these other things, and the tone and feel of the film really starts to feel different once he's around. Like, it really starts picking up speed, and that's something that Willem Dafoe always just does in a lot of films he's in. He really does give the film a very jarring and different pace, which can be good, and in Nosferatu it is excellent. Now, the main star of the show, of course, you're thinking about is Bill Skarsgård. How is Bill Skarsgård? How is Count Orlock in this? Unlike anything you're thinking or imagining, I will tell you that right now, because I was somebody who said, okay, I kind of see where they could be going with this and all of that. Completely wrong once we heard Bill Skarsgård's voice as Count Orlock in the film, and it happens rather quickly indeed. It was a lot quicker than I expected. How many times I said quickly in that last sentence? I don't know. It's Monday, y'all, and it's the holiday week, so bear with me. But I really do love how Count Orlock is such a menacing force, truly evil, despicable, disgusting. Those are the words I think about with Count Orlock, which is what Bill Skarsgård's performance was. Just an amazing performance, honestly. This is not Pennywise at all, which was something a lot of people were worried about. Was it just gonna feel like another Pennywise performance? No, Bill Skarsgård takes it in a whole different direction and truly exceeds in that. By the end of it and all of that, you just feel icky and you just feel horrified by everything that this character has done. Truly amazing work from Skarsgård right here. Overall, the film does have a very gothic, dark feel to it, and very poetic by the end as well. That was something that I really truly captured in that second viewing of it. It just felt like this poem that you're reading, because there are so many of these moments that are so low and high, and it just rings and it rhymes throughout, that you just feel this very poetic nature to it. And I think Eggers does an amazing job with really balancing the tone of these people suffering and also the evil that's coming to get them, but that small glimmer of hope that's always there in our life, in our societies and all of that, it is still shining through, and you still feel there is hope at the end of the road. And that's something I think Eggers does so beautifully here. It is such a tragic horror film as well, and that's something I've always talked about throughout in this channel, is I think when horror is done right, it is truly a tragedy. There are so many moments of high, of like happiness and things like that when things are looking up, but at the end of the day and deep down, these characters still feel this melancholy, this very horrific feel of impending doom. And it is so beautifully orchestrated and felt throughout the runtime of this movie, which honestly goes by quick. This movie feels like a fever nightmare dream, like gothic nightmare, honestly. So many keywords thrown in there, right? Anyways, this movie, I really did enjoy it a lot. I thought it was definitely a lot better than what I was expecting, and I had high hopes for this movie, and it exceeded them for me, honestly. Amazing performances from everybody involved, particularly Lily Rose Depp and Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think that Robert Eggers still has the juice and is definitely one of the best new directors we have working today. I'm excited to see what they do next, because it's so interesting, these directions they take these movies in. They all feel very different. I mean, Northman does not feel at all like The Witch. The Lighthouse does not feel at all like Nosferatu. So I'm excited to see what Robert Eggers does next. Check this movie out if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of Robert Eggers, gothic vibes, Lily Rose Depp, any of these actors. There's like a million reasons to see this movie, and I don't think there's a reason not to. This is definitely one of those movies to check out. In terms of scariness and like jump scares and all of that, it is not really much like jump scares and like things to terrify you right on the spot, but it does truly leave a horrifying feeling deep down in your gut as you're watching this, all the way up until those credits roll. You feel the tragicness of the story. You see how horrific it is, and it does linger in your mind a bit as you finish and watch this film. Honestly, one of the best movies of the year, of the last 5 years. I cannot get enough of Nosferatu. I'm watching again, I'm telling you. And stay tuned for my spoiler talk coming this week, because we got a lot of things to talk about. Just a beautiful film. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on the film below. If you liked it or not, what are you most excited for in 2025, and what was your favorite horror film of 2024? I already put out a list on the community poll. I also have a video if you want to go check it out, where I talk more about my favorite horror films of 2024, so go check that out. But I'm always excited to talk more movies with y'all. Stay tuned for my baby girl spoiler talk, queer spoiler talk, and a ton of other videos coming out this week before the end of the year. And we are definitely changing some things up in the channel going into 2025, so stay tuned for that. Appreciate each and every one of you. Happy holidays, and as always, stay safe, stay positive.